We are awakening together. This is our weekly gathering we hold online. For more information, visit our website, awakening-together.org. We'd love to see you there.
All right, good morning, everybody. Happy Sunday. Oh yeah, I'm spotlighted. I was just gazing at all of you, and I feel very lucky, to be called for this surprise homily. I'm gonna call it "This is how we wing it." No, I won't call it that, but this is what I'm doing. This is going to be the winged journey of, resting in the call to be perfectly prepared while not being prepared. It's going to be beautiful. So I can't wait to see what our carved out time in this space feels like and sounds like. So let's take this moment to greet everybody. Dawn, I would love for you to play that opening song and welcome each other. All right, welcome back. So here at Awakening Together, we have a purpose. And simply put, we are an assembly of equals, joined in common purpose, awakening to one true self within an appearance of many faiths, many cultures, and many symbols. We seek to discern one truth and to rest in its embrace. And we also have 5 core values. And the core value that I had picked for today is core value number 5. We accept all forms as temporary appearances, permitted through enduring awareness of self. We live this value by honoring all appearances and all experiences while continually reflecting on changeless truth. I swear 15 minutes ago I could have picked another one. This is Godspeed homily. All right, so the announcements. So some announcements going on in Awakening Together. Join us tonight for our quarterly member meeting at 8 p.m. Eastern Time, 6 p.m. Mountain Time. Reverend Jacquelyn Eckert will lead the meeting. The topics include the first quarter financial reports and the nominees for the trustee election and details for next steps in the process. In addition, our sanctuary director, Don Fernandez, will be ordained as an Awakening Together minister. Reverend Regina Dawn Akers will be the guest speaker for Dawn's ordination. Announcement 2. The online retreat, Loving Consciousness, Loving All, with Regina Dawn Akers is now open for registration. The retreat will be held via Zoom on June 22nd to the 26th. The Loving Consciousness method of meditation and the Loving All method practice were developed by Michael Langford as direct path practices that will help you awaken in this lifetime. At this retreat, we will practice the Loving Consciousness method and the Loving All method using directions written by Michael Langford. Regina Dawn Akers will introduce exercises that can help enhance mastery of the Loving Consciousness and Loving All methods. This retreat is perfect for anyone who wants to awaken in this lifetime. It is also an excellent retreat for those who are already familiar with the Loving Consciousness and Loving All methods and would like to increase mastery of these practices. The third announcement. Today is the last day to register for True Meditation. This course is based on the teachings of Adyshanti, who found that the most seasoned meditators had used the practice as an end instead of a means to an end. What he ultimately realized was that only when you let go of all techniques, even the concept of yourself as a meditator, will you open to the art of true meditation, dwelling in the natural state. In this course, participants will observe their attempts at control within their environment and experience, and practice releasing control through letting all things be as they are. Experiment with meditation and inquiry to discover what results in flashes of realization, and look at the difference between the personality and the capital self, and realize what blocks him or her from having a fully harmonious relationship with the personality. This is a form-based MPP course that is 3 weeks long. For more information and to register, look on our website on the main menu bar under Retreats and Classes, and then Online Classes. 4. As you are no doubt aware, we are electing 4 new trustees to the board this summer. Thank you to those who participated in the nomination process. The nominees are being contacted to ensure they will accept the nomination. The next steps in our member trustee elections includes the sending of official ballots on June 16th and our Meet the Candidates Forum on Sunday, June 21st at 8 p.m. Eastern Time. We thank you in advance for your continued participation in our trustee election process. And the 5th and final announcement is this month's movie is Silver Linings Playbook, starring Bradley Cooper and Jennifer Lawrence. In this movie, a young man recovering from a violent outburst triggered by the discovery of his wife's infidelity and exacerbated by his previously undiagnosed bipolar condition, begins a friendship with a young widow who also has fragile mental health. Together, they learn how to confront their demons and learn that the joys of life consist in more than just silver linings on an otherwise bleak existence. Beautiful description. Plan to join us for the discussion of this movie in our movie discussion group hosted by Reverend Kelly Barber on Sunday, June 28th at 8 p.m. Eastern Time. All right, it's time for me to play an opening song. It says I can't share the screen while I'm spotlighted, I believe. I love that song. I heard it, Take These Thoughts. I heard it maybe 2 years ago. I remember actually hearing it for the first time and sending it over to Regina going, I thought of you when I heard that. Like, I thought of our MP. I thought of all of Awakening Together. Like, I was like, here. Send these thoughts to on a one-way ticket out. That song brings me a great feeling, and then beautifully demonstrated. I have this feeling of this song that I'm almost getting ready to prepare to feel when I play it, and then something technical happens, so then I have to feel that, and and just go with the ever-changing process. Today's homily is dedicated. It's just dedicated to allness. I'm going to pray us in and set an intention. Father, Earth, Mother, all of it, all of it. This giant cosmos of divine order within disorder, and the path of awakening to see the self-evident illuminated life behind all of it. That's what we're doing here. And to have a carved out moment in time and space to create a holy moment, a holy encounter, to ask for the flow and the current of that order to be what transpires. That's all we ask for. And celebrate consciousness. Oh, to celebrate the choice. Celebrate choice. The choice of reality. And to remember that heaven is a decision I must make, and it's just an honor to be in this space with heaven decision makers, and to have a space where we know no illusions are real, and to celebrate the core value of, and to really hone in on the core value of watching change and inviting and expecting the changeless truth to dominate sight, to expect it. I don't feel guilty for having an expectation of perfection. And I want to celebrate the total ability to be optimistic at any moment in time. To trust God, to really lean into God, and then lean into before God, and watch your mind blow and welcome it. I invite awakening. I invite how challenging awakening is. And I just invite it all. I invite how hard it is at times, and I invite how absolutely laughable the whole darn thing is in those flashes of realization. And I just want to hold space with all of you to be exactly where we are, because there is such an equality here, that there's an equality everywhere that we know and have access to whenever we want to go there. That feels complete. So, amen. And I'm going to hand the microphone over to Jacquelyn. Thank you for reading for me. I didn't have time to think about reading, so the first thing that I wanted to read, I just took pictures of and sent it over. So, Jacquelyn, the mic's all yours. Thank you again.
Thank you, Meg. Good morning, everyone. I am reading a section from the book, The Eye of the Eye by Dr. David Hawkins. Pardon me. The Presence of God. An account of enlightenment in recent times, its sudden onset, the replacement of ordinary consciousness by an infinite awareness, and the transformation of the self to the self by the grace of the divine presence. The Presence. Prologue. Years of inner struggle, suffering, and seemingly futile spiritual striving had eventually culminated in a state of black despair. Even a retreat into atheism had not brought relief from the ceaseless quest. Reason and intellect were too frail for the formidable task of finding the ultimate truth. The mind itself had been led to a final, agonizing, crushing defeat. Even the will had been stilled. Then an inner voice cried out, "If there is a God, I ask him for help." Then all ceased and disappeared into oblivion. The mind and all sense of a personal self disappeared. In a stunning moment, it had been replaced by an infinite, all-encompassing awareness that was radiant, complete, total, silent, and still as the promised essence of all that is. The exquisite splendor, beauty, and peace of divinity shone forth. It was autonomous, final, timeless, perfect, the self of the manifest and the unmanifest, the supreme Godhead, and thus was set forth the presence. A hushed silence pervades the surroundings, and motion itself slows and becomes still. All things radiate forth an intense aliveness. Each is aware of every other. The luminous quality of the radiance is overwhelmingly divine in nature. It completely includes everything in its total oneness, so that all things are interconnected and in communication and harmony by means of awareness and by sharing the basic quality of the essence of existence itself. The presence is a continuum that completely occupies what had appeared previously to ordinary perception as vacant, empty space. That inner awareness is not different from the self. It pervades the essence of everything. Awareness is aware of its own awareness and omnipresence. Existence and its expression as both form and formlessness is God and prevail equally in all objects, persons, plants, and animals. Everything is united by the divinity of existence. That which is the self is total and complete. It is equally present everywhere. There are no needs, desires, or lack. Neither imperfection nor discord is possible, and every object stands forth like a work of art, a piece of sculpture, in perfect beauty and harmony. The holiness of all creation is the reverence held by everything for everything else. All is imbued with a great splendor, and everything is silenced in awe and reverence. The revelation instills an infinite peace and stillness. A glance at the body reveals it to be the same as everything else, unowned, unpossessed by an individual, equal to the furniture or other objects, and merely part of all that is. There's nothing personal about the body, and there's no identification with it. It moves about spontaneously, correctly executes its bodily functions, and effortlessly walks and breathes. It is self-propelled, and its actions are determined and activated by the presence. The body is merely an it, equal to any other thing in the room. When addressed by other persons, the body's voice responds appropriately. But what is heard in the discussion resonates at a higher level of meaning. The deeper and more profound meaning is revealed in every sentence. All communication is now understood at a deeper level, almost as though each simple sounding question is actually an existential question and statement about mankind itself. On the surface, the wording sounds superficial, but on the deeper level, there are profound spiritual implications. Appropriate responses are given by the body, which everyone assumes is a me that they are talking to. This in itself is strange because there is no actual me associated with this body at all. The real self is invisible and has no locality. The body speaks and answers questions simultaneously in parallel ways on two levels at the same time. Thanks.
Thank you, Jacquelyn. Thank you for the moment of that sentence. The holiness of all creation is the reverence held by everything for everything else. So let's see how this is going to happen. You know, God knows my personality, and I've gotten to know it through myself as me and through myself as self and the merging of the whole damn spectacle, right? I have scalpeled and telescoped and microscoped and the whole scopity scope of I and consciousness, and to simultaneously that's an interesting word, to simultaneously negate everything while also welcoming it as you is such a self-mastery we're all doing. So all experiences and levels of this process is almost like the look what I found when I wasn't me as me, and I'll deliver it and learn from it. And it's just it's always felt like this sequential. As a meditator, for example, the Adyshanti true meditation class that's coming up. Oh, by the way, I'm just using everything in the, like, I found out 5:30 last night to do the homily. So I'm just taking, there's this thought of awakening number 1, and it was the only one I did because it was enough. And it just said, use everything as Holy Spirit for your awakening. So literally sometimes there are 10-minute periods that feel like a 5,000-page book. And that has been happening since when I started, which was like 7 o'clock last night. And I'm like, God, you know me. Be gentle. Because I'm inspired by all of it. Because I've loved all of it so much. But yeah, what I'm alluding to is in that Adyshanti description of true meditation, which that class introduces and helps us go through, is first practicing being, mastering being a meditator, like the discipline, the effort, the practice, the time, the devotion, the creating a mental habit that's going to break the other habits that are so on autopilot. I can't say it enough. I've been so inspired to integrate Ron's habit talk into what spirituality is, because it winds up being such a, oh yeah, that was a habit I did for 5 years, and look, now there's no meditator, and reading the people who have experienced the sameness, but on the linear timeline, saying, hey guys over there, this is what happens when you walk through that final doorway. Like, teachings like that are so lovely. So yeah, when you're learning meditation and then you hear that you're not going to be the meditator anymore, that's it's not something that has to happen in the experience of knowing that it's going to happen, but the knowledge becomes useful, but not to hold on to. But I've experienced stages of this, and I love that I read that announcement today, because I made a decision at this point somewhere in January or something. I said, I'm getting rid of the meditator, guys. I'm doing it. I want to be that thing that seeks and then talks about what I found, like here. And I was just noticing the subtleties of the seeker. And I kept just hearing that, the seeker's going to die, but the search continues. And there was a decision making in that process. So what's happening is, I mean, the experience of awakening looks different for everybody, and that is one thing that I'm certain of. So I don't want to be an I that proves my own awakening to myself either. I definitely needed a time of silence from what spirituality, my love, my relationship with God, like I had to stop having it in a way. I had to stop having the relationship to spirituality in order to like really feel the sponge of what it was without it being a thing that I used. So sometimes I feel like, I am of service to others, so I must teach them what to do. I will tell you that that's a thing that has gone off in my head forever, because, all of you and all of my teachers, dead and alive, like they're all doing what we're practicing. So when I have practice, I go, well, if that is the result, then I'm going to be teacher over there doing that. Like I have all of these images of what, I don't have them much, but they have existed in the, what is service? And, I've already decided it for myself. Flattery and criticism have to go down the same drain. And because I don't want any of them for my self-worth, and I don't want any of them. I can't do that. And but they were definitely a big part of my conditioning that I had to give to awareness, for awareness to take care of it. And that has definitely been happening these past 4 weeks. I couldn't handle either of them. And it's been beautiful to have less verification of what I think God is. Which leads me to the inspiration, I suppose, for this reading, because watching awareness and these flashes of realization and experiences of God, they stretch us. And sometimes in teachings, I want the, so in the metaphysical realm of like the body losing its body sensations and stuff, and we feel more of that astral subtle body that's able to be a receiver instead of a producer. I challenge myself in literature and in writing to stretch my mind and go, oh, I can't believe that. That's not for me. So to hear David Hawkins, I love the work that he gave us. Somehow, some way, has beautifully been able to describe a unitive state of mind, and to any state of mind that I have, the world is going to reflect that mirror back to me. And I can see the world and use the spiritual tools to say, I know that there's something beyond that. I know that there's something beyond that. Like, I know that black and white is a whole, and and I will see wholeness out of that duality. That constant I will convert in order to see God's way, right? Ultimately, we're all sitting here, and I know us, and I know from all of our contemplations, it's like, I want that state all the time, and I want it now. And there's power in admitting that that's something that I've wanted, and in admitting that, yes, I'm definitely seeking something that I think is a state of mind, but I want to find out what it really is. So the last homily I did, for some reason, just, did this power of daydreaming, daydream yourself into being awake, perpetuate the habit of thinking the reality that you want, even though it's a stretched version of a healed mind you think you can't have. Ultimately, like, imagine if I'm like, I'm awake, I'm awake, I'm awake, I'm awake. It kills off the lack belief that I'm not. And there is power in making God's presence what I thought absolute looked like in a strong imaginative visual. What that did, it created that energy in the body that subsequently was also another spiritual aspiration of mine, which was, I want to be a vibrational awareness instead of a conceptual knower. And that is freaky to navigate. It's strange, because even the desire to want to know what the vibration means is still not true. I'm feeling before the object. Like, am I subject first or object first? So this reading, I'm going to read through it again and pause and feel it, because this reading vibrates truth. It's not talking about truth. It's not doing what I'm doing right now. But what I'm doing right now, my only intention is to come from that place and then trust whatever this rambling is. You're just going to feel something other than thinking, maybe, because that's the closest description I can get to what awareness watching awareness is. It's just something shuts off, something turns on, and it comes and goes. So I love that David Hawkins, has in this description the presence of the unitive state. I'm going to share my screen real quick to breathe, really, and to all right, so I'm sharing the screen, and what I have here is David Hawkins' levels of consciousness, and having that shame, guilt, apathy, grief, fear, desire, anger, inaction, hyperactivity, and then relay that over to it being part of manifestation. The realm is, the fourth principle of God, the manifestation. Everything in the realm is temporary, and it's referred to as the dream, and it's the consciousness appearing as something other than consciousness, which that experience happens after neutrality and courage, where that Holy Spirit is activated in order to go into the realm of consciousness, which is a unitive state where the manifestations are not targeting your consciousness, like in that bottom realm of pride and anger and desire and fear and all of that dark night of the soul, all of the purification that every conditioned mind experiences one way or another. It doesn't target what consciousness is. There's a dictator in me in that realm of only being and knowing the fourth principle of God. And, the awakening process is teaching us about all of these levels, integrating them, learning how to not freak out throughout the vacillation of all of them, and knowing that there is a consistency that is always kind of there's a consistency of vacillation, I think, for a while, and then there's an eventual consistency of that desired changeless something. And then and I guess in David Hawkins, you have words to describe what those states of consciousness can be, maybe in between that third and second principle of God, where we're like, man, I was unaffected for like 3 days, and then I became a witness again. I can't tell anybody, and just, it's laughable, but it's true. And there is a levity of the seriousness that I used to take with this that has, replaced, going through this. I've had the guilt and the shame and the apathy and the grief and the fear and the desire come back as floodgates, going, but I thought I said I wasn't a manifestation. God, didn't you hear me? And just proving to myself that I'm failing and not doing good. And wow, if I could give one piece of advice to myself, I know it was, I do know it's all so supremely perfected, but dang, we are so hard on ourselves. Even in this, even in the most exquisite thing we could be doing on earth, which is atoning for ourselves, for the collective, we are still the most evil people we think there are. Like, nobody's as evil as I think I am, and it's amazing. The mind is amazing when it doesn't have you hostage. And so, yeah, I'm completely inspired by even, and I'll keep these up because, there's an inevitability here, guys. I would eliminate doubt and imagine that this is the path we're on. We're first principle of God, second principle of God. We're in the classroom. We're boy, are we way showers. I remember feeling like I was such a weirdo for wanting to awaken, and now I just feel really lucky. So yeah, I wanted to bring the second principle of God, the consciousness, the still witness. All things manifest are made of this principle. Therefore, all things are consciousness. And I mean, the gentleness of even knowing that the inevitability of this path is the process of exploring all of these principles to really know them, to let them go also. And then just some David Hawkins, because we're reading from him. All right. How do I end this, buddy? All right, stop share. So, let's see. So, David says, a hushed silence pervades the surroundings, and motion itself slows down and becomes still. All things radiate forth an intense aliveness. Each is aware of every other. And so sometimes in these experiences of, what I want to give away, if anything, is the experiences that we get in meditation where we're just like, whoa, I don't know what yours are, but I know that they feel supernatural, superhuman, not human. You're merging with all. You're male, you're female. It feels all orgasmic, but it's not part of the body. So, you can't talk about it because then you would say, well, then I think I'm the body. All of this, there is an eventual mirroring of those experiences that start to reflect, and it doesn't just happen in the magic of what we think meditation is. To invite the meditator to live on the outside is to see the pulse of all things in things, and we're just on that inevitable path. I mean, it's so exciting to know that the results are real, the results are true. and to be reading Hawkins and Bernadette Roberts, and to be taught by the other way showers, I mean, just don't doubt. if I could share anything, you know, I watch as all of my words compete to be the like biggest magnifying glass for love. You know, I just feel the crossfires of so the unitive state, it completely includes everything in total oneness, so that all things are interconnected and in communication and harmony by means of awareness. So we constantly get these answers, right? Like, oh, it's awareness that made that whole. And even though I can describe now what wholeness is, I have to give credit to awareness. I have to give credit to awareness. You know, consciousness is, I have fallen completely in love with the availability of what's in consciousness. You know, physics, the definition of physics is the branch of science that's concerned with using extremely long and complicated formulas to describe how a ball rolls. Okay, so so like I'm going here, like, spirituality is the branch of language, human spirit language, that is trying to describe the indescribable. And that's, yeah. So my influences of knowing, see, the other thing is that there's this amazing thing that happened, you know, the past couple of months, which was like, oh my gosh, I've always known not knowing as self, and it's just taken a really long time to unlearn the things that were trying to replace it. And what a fun thing to have comfort in. Like, I've had flashes of all of the memories where I remembered who I was, not in temporary form. And all of my life makes a completely lined up, perfect, it all makes a lot of sense today. And, you know, one of my favorite dead heroes is Carl Jung, and I know why I love him. And I've always known why, and I don't feel bad about it anymore. So, you know, on the back of one of his books, it says, you know, he was a diverse man. He was analytical, and he was spiritual, and he did medicine, religion, literature, philosophy, archaeology, and the occult. And he was introverted and suffered from multiple personality disorder. And it had a total profound experience on what he went into. And he was pushed as a child, and this completely induced almost this multiple personality thing. And he says, as a child, I felt myself to be alone, and I am still, because I know things and must hint at things which others apparently know nothing of, and for the most part don't want to know. And that the pendulum of the mind oscillates between sense and nonsense. It's not even good or bad. So I definitely feel like, you know, I had this amazing opportunity as a child to feel absolutely what I feel right now, which is so much allness in so many realities. But now we have the teachings that almost achieved the multiple personalities. Like, we've accomplished talking about practically being bipolar. Like, we have two voices here, and one is going to confuse you and one is going to lead you. And it's like, I totally said that to the psychiatrist when I was 14, but they gave me medicine for it, you know, and it just, so, man, poor little children for thinking we're crazy. So, you know, when I say I know things, it's just, I just know the self, and the self is just not of this world, but I am of this world, so I know both. And we all know both. And it's scary to not know the world. And it's frightening to the world for people to see people who don't know the world. So I see so much fear. I mean, Jesus, he had a hard time with it too. So, you know, I love this part. When because I've related to this in Hawkins, he goes, when addressed by other persons, the body's voice responds appropriately, but what is heard in the discussion resonates as a higher level of meaning. The deeper and more profound meaning is revealed in every sentence. All communication is now understood at a deeper level, almost as though each simple sounding question is actually an existential question and a statement about mankind itself. On the surface, the wording sounds superficial, but on the deeper level, there are profound spiritual implications. And so, I mean, I took off from speaking in the sanctuary several weeks ago, and I was in a reality combustion where it was incredibly exciting to me, but there was no way anybody needed that. Because I do want to say, because it's almost unbelievable to describe it, which is why I know the preciousness of silence. But it's important to talk about because we're on the path and there's nothing to fear. It's just our head isn't going to, like, for example, this homily, I'm like, okay, you know, last night I'm like, all right, God, tell me what it is going to be so I know what to do. Like, I know the script's already written, but that's not how it works, kiddo. So yeah, bringing something into manifestation that definitely doesn't feel like it originated from manifestation is something I'm learning, and to have the experience outside of meditation in real time, where the fusion of past and future timelines are completely in synchronistic harmony that perception is seeing and sight is not seeing. It's a perceivable, there's a perceivable, and so there's just you know, a beautiful collective transition going on. I said this as soon as the pandemic happened, I called it, I was like, this isn't a pandemic, this is an activation into awakening. We are activating, and this is so exciting. And I was just like, oh my God, and the age of Aquarius, yes, the age of Aquarius. I was like, you know, the Pisces, okay, and then I was like, we're moving out of the Pisces for real now, and that was fish. That was a fish, and Jesus says, you know, the fish bumper stickers. Jesus is always associated with the fish. I was like, Jesus, what do you got in store? What do you got in store for Aquarius? And the symbol of Aquarius is a man pouring a bucket of water. So then I went into where is this in the Bible, Jesus, if it really is a thing, because symbols are fun. And in Luke 22:10 and in Mark 14:13, both of them, and he sent forth two of his disciples and said to them, go ye into the city, and there shall meet you a man bearing a pitcher of water. Follow him. And the water was during Passover, and then they were going in to make the bread, and so it was almost like an obedience for the disciples to trust that the not, like, this is my version of the Bible, clearly, like that, like, as fish, we're in the somebody must have said this in the sanctuary. It doesn't feel like it's mine, but I've heard it. Like, we're swimming in we're fish, and we're swimming in the ocean, and we're asking the mama fish, like, what's water? Teach me about water. And that, like, we've been learning and learning and learning to transcend the learning, to drop the spirituality, to drop God, to drop the meditator, to not need discernment because intuition prompts, to not think because receiving happens. I mean, the delay in time is excruciating when we already know how it's supposed to happen. Damn it. And but the age of Aquarius feels exciting. It feels like the knowledge of God is going to be poured on and clothed on the earth, and it doesn't have to be held or carried, and we don't have to swim in it. It's I don't know, that's what I like to think. I've never felt more excited about being alive than to witness the destruction of the ego on the collective realm. I've been through it, so I know how necessary it is. It doesn't surprise me that it's necessary to see the absolute hell, and to just know, I know God. No, I just I just believe in heaven as a decision that I make, and that I create the world I see. And I know there's a lot of us doing that, so I'm not afraid. This awakening, the last thing to grow on a fruit tree is the fruit. And even when the fruit appears, it still has to ripen, and even when you're like, it's ready, it's like that fall is still another readiness. There's this quote by Pablo Picasso, and he says, learn the rules like a pro so you can master them like an artist. And I was like, all right, Pablo, if you saw my Word document of the 100 copy and pasted journal entries that I thought I was going to read today, it definitely looks like one of his paintings. It's just been beautiful to sit here with all of you, and I wrote a little something, just how I said consciousness is absolutely brilliant. It's brilliant. Its appearances come and go, but intuition is magical. And it's such a fascinating phenomena of time and space reality, of the free will to put a rhythm to our frequency of these thoughts and emotions, which create the image in our world. Its capability exceeds the word capable, because it blows your mind. It blows the system in the mind. And it creates a bust in knowing that creates a better knowing that keeps teaching us, that it's it. Like, it just keeps teaching me that it is it. No matter how much information I gather back from it, it always is saying it is it. Its isness is it. But it can be like, the God experience, it's a supercomputer of all happenings. It's a realm, it's a spaciousness, a super multi-dimensional layered cosmos of infinite possibility through the awareness of now presence. It's really what gets removed is is almost the emotional attachment. That cord is severed. Reactions are replaced with response, or not, or even nothingness, right? And it's this ability to remain in consistency in the experience of being comfortable in the ever-changing allness. I'm going to be comfortable while everything changes all the time. And this is all the time, you know. I did that for a while, like just as a immediate practice. It's like that of any other, it's like that of any other constant reality that I focus on. Like, it just, you see it and you think about it and you experience it. So it's a well-formed habit. And when things start disappearing that were useful tools to get you to the place of relief, for example, I am meditator, so I will go meditate because I know when I meditate, I get this. And then when I get this, it makes the me better. And it's the me doesn't get better. It's the seeker, when it starts to dissolve, it becomes normal. So you're not looking, there's a looking that starts to disappear that I can tell you is very strange, because you're looking for something. Like, you're looking for something. So when there's nothing to look for, the normal has to be it. And the integration is, the integration into consciousness that we're all doing here is so absolutely beautiful. And this is me absolutely including every single appearance, all sides of every reality that is going on in the world. I'm so in tune with it. And I want to hold space for the possibility that the allness behind all happenings is. I related it when I felt incredible, like I felt this profound sadness, and I was like, oh, is this mine? Is this everyone's? Oh, wait a minute. And then I was like, who's other? And I completely related, like, I took the images out of the images, right? And then I replaced them with my experiences of my images, of my hate, my rage, my love, my fight for love, my fight for hate, like all of it. I took, oh, I know how to be a victim. I know how to perpetrate, to create a victim. I know how to manipulate victimhood. I know how to fight for, I just knew, like, my head is also collective. And so the relatability is so possible, and it does take work. But there's a relationship that can take you into a leaning into the non-relationship, the only the only isness, and so I've definitely been in so much contemplation with all the allness, and I know, change is coming. I know how destructive I was when I was kicking and screaming to fight for the hidden scenarios within my own kept secrets of my ego that I couldn't even see. Things that I couldn't see that I swore I could see all of, and what I've learned about fear is that leaning into it is nothing compared to the anticipation of it. Leaning into it gives me the questions I need to ask Holy Spirit in order to go beyond them. Leaning into the illusion, and I said, okay, illusion, I'm leaning into you. I don't know what you have for me, but pain is my, if I see suffering, there's my destiny in it. Lean into it. And that is where magic happens. That's where we don't get to talk about it. That's where the specifics of what prayer I need to ask in order to see this, the healing that is necessary, it comes, and I can go, oh dear God, thank you for showing me that. Now, I don't know how to be willing to let go of that, but I'm willing to be willing for you to show me how to let go of that. And it's a wash, rinse, repeat, and there's just no way you can put it all into the last 5 minutes of this. I'm so grateful that I have no idea what this message was for, but to sit in the calling of it, to be of service, to be with all of you, my family. I've grown up with you. I started as a desperate, lost person in this room, looking for this, and amongst you, I am blown away at the ability of asking Holy Spirit to divinely create something for this, and it's like flawless. All right, time for fellowship. Sorry. Dawn, it's all yours. Thank you.
Thank you for watching. This was our weekly gathering that we hold online. For more information, you can visit our website at awakening-together.org, or you can subscribe to our Awakening Together channel and click the bell for more notifications when we post our weekly gatherings. Thank you again for watching.